Board of the Inland Empire Ski and Sports Club, who is Afarah is our O.I.S. chair and director of education, has been such for, I guess, about 2 years now, probably even more, huh, Afarah? Maybe 3 years, is it?
Yeah, it's probably about 3 years.
Yeah, it would, because I know that Afarah had done our session our in-person session when we were here in San Diego, and then has had some ideas through the pandemic, and I'm excited just to be able to launch our online O.I.S. sessions. One of the things that we want to be able to do is, from a succession planning perspective, we want to equip our existing leaders as well as potential new leaders with some skills, capability, insight, knowledge, so that they are prepared as well as comfortable with their leadership roles. So I'm really excited to have today's session with Afarah, which really coming out of the pandemic, but really even prior to the pandemic, we're going to hear some perspectives today and share some perspectives that were relevant in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and here we are in the 2020s. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Afarah Board.
Okay, thank you very much, Todd. And it shows here is just, we have gone through the welcome, which is great. But what I would like to be able to do, and thanks, Todd, for giving an introduction of me, I would like to be able for each of you all to briefly say who you are and what club you're from and your leadership role in that respective club. And just want to let you all know that this is going to be a very interactive session. So if I know some of you may be shy and not want to show your faces, but at least we can hear your voices. So one of the things that Todd had mentioned is like director of education, but I also am a professor at a couple of higher education places. And over the last, especially in 2020, we did a lot of virtual classes. And so I am very experienced at getting some of my students to make sure that they participate and have to show their faces and not just have their name up there, right? So we want to make sure you guys do that. I like to tell the story of, because these are the adults too, young adults, but one of my students, these students they tried to get away with everything on virtual. Some of them would be still in the bed. And one of my young adult men, he was still in the bed and he didn't have any clothes on. Well, he's shirtless. He's just rolling over and everything. And it's like, really, guy? I chatted with him. I said, can you please at least put a shirt on? And so, and one of them too, he was at the barbershop, sitting in a barber's chair while he was in class. So those are things that they try to get away with as much as they can, but I know you guys are not going to do that. So can we just go round robin and you guys just intro yourself a bit? Sherry, you're on top of my list here that shows first. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Sherry Covington, and I am the Vice President of Camellia City Ski Club and the lodging chair for Urban Winterfest.
Okay. Great. How long have you been involved with the restoration or skiing, Sherry?
Oh, since the early 80s, probably about 82.
All right. Okay. Great. Michael, you're next on my screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Michael Cunningham, and I'm currently president of Fire and Ice Ski Club in San Jose, California. And I've been involved with the NBS since about 1995.
Okay, great. Okay, I think that's you, Todd, the phone that's up there, but
Yes, it is me.
Okay.
I'm Todd Hood. I'm with Snowbuster Ski Club of Pasadena. Have been involved with, started off with Snowbusters and Texas Ski Rangers in Dallas, and then Thrill Seekers in New York City, and back in Southern California. Now I will be affiliated with Mountain View Ski Club here in San Diego.
Well, that's great.
I currently serve as the Western Region Vice President and sit on the board of the NBS.
Okay, good. That's great. You've been involved with a lot of Mountain View. Is going to be great for you to get involved with them. They've been around. Mountain View and ISIS started about the same time. They had a couple of the same founders, so they've been around a long time. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see who is next. So is it? I don't see the names popping up. Let me see who is this.
Bernice Tate.
Bernice? You on mute?
Yeah, I'm Bernice Tate, and I'm part of Fire and Ice Ski Club, and I am the treasurer there. I've been involved with skiing since about the mid-'80s, and I've been involved with the NBS and Fire and Ice since the late 90s.
Late 90s. Okay, great. Terry Allard?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Afarah. My name is Terry Allard. I'm currently the NBS Western Region Director. I am currently also the president of Inland Empire Ski and Sports Club and Urban Winterfest chair. And let's see, also working with Far West Ski Association to do their silent auction for their upcoming convention. And I also did the auction, the online auction for NBS Virtual Black Summit this year. And I've been involved with ski clubs for about 17 years. Thank you.
And then Charles Ward.
Yeah, mute. Charles, you have to mute yourself.
We can't hear you, Charles. Are you on mute or is your volume down?
He's on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Everybody can hear me? Good.
Yes.
Charles Ward, current president of Camellia Ski Club. I have been affiliated with the NBS and the ski club since January 1980. Did a variety of things within the club. Currently, the Western Region Nordic Ski Director. At the same time, I am the national chair for Nordic Ski. Been trained as a coach for skiing, alpine skiing. That was through the 90s, and have been with the work with the kids for a number of years directly on the mountain. But I retired from that and moved on to more administrative support for them and youth programs.
Okay, and since I can't see the entire screen because I'm sharing my screen, who did I miss? Anybody I missed?
This is Ida Cochran. On my screen, I'm right next to you. But I am the president of Winter Fox Ski Association. Winter Fox has been around since 1978, 79. And I am a recycled president. My first term was 1987. And I have been affiliated with skiing in Winter Fox. My first summit was 1981. So I feel like I'm recycled. People have come and gone, but I'm still trying to keep our club together.
Is there,
Oh, I'm currently secretary of the Western region.
okay, thank you for all that you do, all of you guys. And it's no doubt, it doesn't surprise me that you all are here this morning because of all the commitment that you've shown over the years. So great to have you all. Anybody that I miss? Okay, so because it's so early, I have a couple of icebreakers that I wanted to go over before we get into the meat of this, which is coming up next. I was on mute. So I have a couple of icebreakers since it's so early in the morning, and I keep putting on mute because our lawn guys are out there and you might hear the lawnmowers. But so with that, so what the question is, what do cows drink? Anybody? Yes, tell me. What do you think? What does cows drink?
Water?
Okay. Anybody else?
Nothing.
Milk.
Yeah, most of the time people will think because cows produce milk, people usually say they drink milk, which is not true. I think I was right. They drink water, right?
Water.
So we used to.
I grew up on a farm.
Yeah. And so we're used to thinking, okay, in patterns. And that's what our subject today will be a lot about too, is that because I know that a lot of you have been around NBS for a long time, and we get into our patterns, our way of thinking and way of doing things, and we just need to continue to broaden our thoughts to think outside the box. So we're going to go over a little bit of that too. My other one that's here is estimate the age of the person that you see on the screen.
80.
Okay. Who else?
20.
Well, back in the old days, she would have been 80. Now she looks like 100.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
What? 80 is a new 100? 100 is a new 80? What?
I'd say about 50
Nowadays,
people.
80 doesn't look like that.
40.
40?
35.
Okay.
I see two people.
No.
I
One
say
looks
she's-
about
she-
80 and one looks about 20.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 20 in
Yeah.
her teens or 20.
So you guys, and Todd, I think that you and I think maybe that was Charles was saying, over here is the older lady, right? With her mouth,
Yes.
her chin.
Yes.
You see the young lady of the front here?
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, in the front. Yes.
yeah, so this is, and then when you get to looking at them, you're going, you see them both, right? So you have,
Yes.
this is the young lady and this is her ear, but if this is the old lady, that's her eye.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just have to just make sure that we are seeing different perspectives. That's what this is all about. We just can't just be tunnel vision and say you only see the old lady or you only see the young lady. We have to be able to make sure that we're broadening our perspectives. Okay, you guys see them both now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So young and old. And so let's talk about getting back to normal. So we're getting back into our topics of discussion today because I wanted to wake you guys up. Before the pandemic, we did the things the way we done it. And you guys, most of you guys have been around for a very long time with the NBS. I think Terry might be the one with the most least time with 16 years, which is also a long time. As leaders, we need to realize the old ways may indeed be broken. So the way that we've done things and the way that we see things and the way that we think in patterns might not be the most effective way anymore. And so let's not waste time and energy thinking about what we used to do. We have to think about being creative and leverage the things and opportunities that the pandemic brought us and say, okay, we were forced to do things differently. Let's see if we can continue to do things differently, or maybe let's see if some things that just didn't work out with the pandemic and we need to continue to do normal stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And then we're going to need to think outside the box and tap into our creative side. I know it might be difficult for a lot of us to think about what we can do to be creative to do things, but we do need to think about that as leaders. And we do need to learn to lead in changing times and beyond and be adaptable. And that's one of the things that the pandemic and 2020 brought us is how to adapt. All of us adapted. We all did. We were forced to adapt. we you know, whether we wanted to or not, and some of us was kicking and screaming the whole way, even outside of saying our NBS activities, our personal life, the things that we've done. Some of us, we had to do things completely different, and we all adapted. I use the example of even going to the doctor in doing 2020. If we had doctor's appointments, then a lot of them were on the phone, right? And who would have ever thought that before? Because we always thought we got to go in the doctor and they have to kick our knee and make all these other stuff, right? And so now, you know, I don't believe that they're going to go back to full in-person doctor's appointments. I believe that they're going to continue to have a lot of these telehealth for some things that they can do telehealth with, some things they might have to come in. But those are the types of discussions we're going to need to have, is what things can we continue to do virtually versus what things do we need to go back to normal for that really won't work virtually. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is the NBS Western Region vision, is to ensure the survival and growth of member clubs and promote unity and harmony through fun and education. And I pulled this directly from your website, which I think, to applaud you all. I don't know who's in charge of your website, Todd.
Norm Boyden.
Yeah, I think is very well done. It's up to date. How many of you guys have gone on your website recently?
I have all the time.
Okay. What do you think about it, Terry?
Oh, I think we have one of the better ones.
Yeah.
And we do, Todd, and we both work hard to make sure that things are current and up to date the best we can.
Yeah, and it is. It's I think it's very well done. I think it has the most common. It has the Costa Rica information on it, which is very, very current and recent. And so yeah, it has good stuff. So what we're going to talk about today is how can we even leverage that as we're going forward? It's up to date, right? So why would we have to repeat and do something else if we can point people to the website as we're going through? And so can you guys tell me, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to think and talk about this a little bit, is what are your normal activities to help the Western region meet their mission? What are some of the things that you all do normally that will help you meet the mission? And I'm going to document some of it down as you're talking.
One of the things we do is spend a lot of time talking about our plans, coming up with the plans, and looking at the cost benefit analysis of those plans. And we make assignments or we voluntold some folks to take care of various parts of the general plan. And we put those things on a timeline to ensure that we are on track.
Okay. So you do planning and cost benefit analysis, and then you assign people to take care of the plans and you go forward. And are you ensuring that all of that then is meeting the mission of surviving as a club?
Yes, between the planning and the marketing and the budget team, they make sure that we are on target. The finance people will say, no, you can't do that because. And then the leadership has to come back and say, wait a minute, we're determined to do this. What can we do to make that happen? And so we adapt, we make changes on the fly to make sure that we are successful.
Okay. Anyone else? What are you doing? What are your normal activities to help meet the mission?
Well, I would say participating in Western Region events and, towards fundraising, the youth program, scholarship programs. Because if we don't, if we need people to participate in those, in the Western Region events in order to raise money so that we can further a lot of those programs.
Okay.
And then also try to, market it outside of our club so that we can get more people to come in and to participate.
Okay.
What Sherry said is actually the bedrock of how we get it done. That's the first step right there.
What we're doing over in
And
in
I
our
think
club-
I think too, Todd does a lot of recruiting for people to get involved, to help get these programs, you know, off the ground, as well as recruiting new people to come and get involved. So that's a big part of it.
Okay, and there was someone else was saying something right when Terry was talking.
that was me, Bernice. I was saying that we kind of have a bigger focus on the survival and growth part.
Right.
And for that, we had to do some diversification. And we do a lot of non-ski events now. So we have a lot of hiking and biking events that we participate in or coordinate.
Mhm.
So we're getting a lot of new people who learn about the club, who learn about NBS, who would not have otherwise done so because they're not skiers, but they're joggers, they're hikers. So we're just kind of getting a bit of growth of membership right now by doing non-ski events.
Okay. Okay, that's good. And that helps with this. So what do you do with this to promote unity and harmony?
I think getting together and having these events, having people come out and do the hikes, you're meeting new people, and we're kind of growing units of people who get together and do this often, even outside of our normal organized events. And
Okay.
then we also have an annual events, an annual picnic, and we're scheduling another event this year just to get people together and invite the other ski clubs and that are local.
Okay.
One of the things that we do, sorry, Charles, one of the things that we do for unity and harmony is joint events like in the Los Angeles area, Ski Dazzle, where the different clubs come together and host a booth for the Western region. So we bring volunteers from different clubs together. It happened a few years ago where we had each club had a happy hour at Ski Dazzle. And so then the clubs could say, for people who are coming to Ski Dazzle, for their members who are coming to Ski Dazzle, make sure to come by the booth from 2 to 3 on Saturday. And one club might say, come by the booth from 3 to 5, 3 to 4 on Saturday, or from 1 to 2 on Sunday. And we'd highlight their club. So it made for one, a little more visibility for the club themselves, as well as for folks to come together and see other people from clubs.
Okay, good. Charles, you were going to say something?
A little bit more depth with diversification. One of the things we do is team building by way of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And that is usually very, very intense. And we do that with our ski competition thing, regionally and nationally. And for as long as we have had a very strong young summer program, there was tennis and baseball and a number of other kinds of things that was all part of the team building and excitement part. Back to the recruiting thing, Todd is really, really good with empowering people to go get it, okay? At whatever level of participation or production that they put out. He makes sure that they're recognized for their input. And usually that inspires people to do more. And not only that, those same people will go out and get some more people. And that process is always very, very good.
Okay, good. Very good. Anything else anybody wants to say along these lines?
Jerry McGee.
Hi, Jerry.
With our club, to grow, create harmony and diversification. Like right now, we have a hike going on, and we're just trying to get people together.
You
Not
have a
trying to
what? You have a what going on?
hike.
They're hiking Griffith Park today. I was surprised to see you, Jerry. Thank you for sacrificing for us.
No problem. And we started using a new platform to promote our events. We started using Eventbrite. And I looked this morning, we have 26 people signed up. And one thing that's kind of interesting, when I looked at the names of people last night, it looks like we had 6 people sign up. And I think they are Korean. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have a diverse group of people exposed to our club. Even though all of our promotions, we emphasize people of color. And they see that on the promotions. And then we actually had a video on the promotion with a Black woman talking about getting more Black folks out to hike. But still, they want to join us. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens. We're exposing ourselves to the general public, and we're just hoping we get our members out. We attract some new members, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that that it sounds like a lot of this is on the right track to make sure that we are being diversified, and that we are attracting different sets of people and not always the same type. And I think that's exactly what we want to start talking about and start doing. The thing that I want to talk about too is some of these things that we are doing and that we're listing here to do. Can some of those things be done virtually, or do we need to do them in person? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We don't want to answer that now because obviously there's some things here that can only be done in person, but there are some things that we can do that can be virtual. And so I want to talk about a little bit about thinking outside the box. And so these are some dots here. You guys should see 6 dots on your screen. I can only see a few. But if you were to look at making sure we have, usually this is done really well in person, but you have to connect all the dots with one continuous line without lifting up the paper. How do you think you would be able to do that? You connect it. And so it's going to go ahead and do it now. Have you guys done that before?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's connected. Not everybody has
Like a kite.
Yeah, so you're you without lifting it up. But what you're doing is most people get caught up in trying to say, well, there's no way I can connect them all. But the whole premise of this is that it went outside the box, right? It went outside the line and come back in to make sure that we're connecting all of them together. So when we think about some of the things that we want to do or are doing, and some of you are doing exactly what you're needing to do and starting to think outside the box a bit about what needs to be done and what can be done better. I want to ask you all too and get your input about this too. Can you rate your readiness to return to normal? Meaning that return to normal is that number one is being not ready at all. You want to stay virtual, and being ready to get back to in-person normalcy is like, I think that should be number 5. So what are you ready to stay virtual, or you want to go back to normalcy and say, I'm ready to just go everything in person? So let me ask you all that. So Todd, what do you think you are? You're 1 or 5?
I think I'm a 4.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So who else? I'm gonna just put little tick numbers here.
I'm a 4.
So is that
I'm a 4.
Charles?
4 as well.
Okay, so I'm going to, so, okay.
4.
Everybody's the same?
Yes, I'm a 4 too.
Oh, you guys are,
No, I think I'm a 2.
okay.
I'm
Yay.
not ready yet, but I mean, I miss getting together, but I'm not, I mean, I know the health background. I'm not sure I'm ready yet.
Okay. Who hasn't responded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jerry, did we hear from you? Okay, you're on mute, I think. Somebody's on mute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 4 for Snowbusters.
Okay. Okay, so most of the people then are really ready to go back in person. You guys are ready to go back in person, it sounds like.
Well, when you say really ready, no, not really ready, but kind of ready.
Yeah, but
Pretty ready.
4 is up there as a, it's better than a 2 or a 3. I mean, a lot of you are saying that you're ready to get back to normal, right?
Right.
So,
Maybe I'm a 3.
So I think I'm a 3.5 then. Some things I'm ready to go back and do normally, but some things I am definitely not ready to do at
yeah,
all.
Right,
right.
right.
And that sounds more like it, is that, and it should be more like it. As I started off this morning saying that a lot of times what 2020 and the pandemic has brought with us is that it's opened the doors to different things and have us, our thought processes, think differently about some things. And with that said, this is something that that I extracted from the email that Todd sent yesterday morning about the virtual Black Summit activities. And there were some things that a lot of us probably would not have thought about doing virtually if we had not been forced to do so. For instance, the opening ceremony, right? And the parade of clubs and leadership meetings and comedy shows and education workshops, club introductions. And so it's a lot of those things then can stay virtual. My thought is some of them can stay virtual because you're able to reach more people that might not even be there on site. If you're doing an opening ceremony that has all of this good stuff and you're talking about the Western region and all the things and excitement that you're going to have at the summit or any event, maybe even a regional event, then you're going to be able to reach a lot of people that go, oh man, I wish I had gone, right? And so you're going to be able to do things like that. And you could even have a virtual parade of clubs, even though not all clubs might be represented in quantity a lot, but you can also have that where you're highlighting a lot of the clubs that you're going through. And of course, the leadership meetings. I know that a lot of times when we go to our regional event and national events, we have leadership meetings and you be in person. There's always some people that's unable to attend, but working virtually, you might be able to get a lot more participation in people in doing so. I think that one of you mentioned that you do a lot of videos. Now you do a video to promote some things. Absolutely, some of the things that can be done virtually with club and maybe even getting that harmony together and unity. You can use videos to do some of those. Those are virtual. You can do comedy shows. You can have guest speakers. You can have a lot of different things that's happening that you can push out to a lot of your club members that are virtual, that some people may be a little hesitant to coming back in person. Nobody really said they're number 5, but a lot of people might be hesitant. So what can we do to make sure that we're reaching all of those people, the ones that want to be in person and then those that don't? So we have to really think about those. Education workshops like we're having today is something. Club inductions, those are all things that really can be done virtually. We really don't have to be in person to do some of them. What other regional events do you guys think that you can transfer over to be the virtual as well?
Regional events.
Well, this is the first virtual O.I.S.
O.I.S.
Yeah, virtual education workshop.
Yeah, that was the first one. So,
But didn't you have a social media workshop recently?
We did.
We did.
We did. We
And,
did Facebook
it
101.
was
Yeah.
How did it go?
It was great.
Good. See?
Very informative, and it was very applicable to what some of our clubs are doing now with their Facebook pages, using them as a tool to communicate. And
Absolutely.
we learned, how to make updates and make them more functional for our clubs.
Yeah.
One of the other things we can do that was has been an industry standard, and that is exercise. There's some exercises that are common to skiing that we can do virtually, and we can do those preseason and postseason so that people are prepared for when they are on the snow.
Right. I think that's an excellent idea, because sometimes the people, if my memory serves me right, when my husband Cleo and I were very active in skiing, and we were active in leadership in ISIS too, is that people think they can just get up there and start skiing without stretching, without getting in condition,
Correct.
and all of those things. So I think that's an excellent idea about the exercises. Yeah, good. And even with having fun, a lot of times too, maybe even doing some line dancing and virtual line dancing.
Correct. We're gonna learn some new steps.
Yeah, instead of doing a wobble every time.
Hey.
We like the wobble.
Yeah, well, that gets everybody going, right?
I do virtual line dance classes almost every day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
And so that could be something even as an activity that could be hosted by, or by one of the clubs or a regional event or something, right? To get people involved. Just some thoughts about it, right? Any other thoughts?
Well, I am big on how-to things, and I'm looking for those kinds of opportunities everywhere. How do I properly pack for a 2-day, 5-day event? Okay, what other essential things should I have that people should see? Passport, a medical book for shots, or fashion even. What kinds of things are appropriate for this particular event? And we saw those things before and after. Then people will have an idea that this is doable, and this is the minimum kind of thing for success in this particular event. They can be created after that.
I like that. That could be a library of of videos for folks. That's a neat idea.
You're welcome. I give you that for free.
Well, we're going to need to videotape you doing some of this stuff.
I am prepared to do some of that stuff for Nordic skiing.
I love it.
I think those are excellent ideas. Any other thoughts?
Go ahead, Bernice.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think we necessarily have to totally reinvent all the wheels, because if there's an event that some of us participate in or know about that's already happening, we can just put it out there and say, hey, let's all participate in this event. It won't be ours, but we can make it ours by being there.
Yeah.
And that's a great idea, Bernice. I think that has some legs, because one of the things that I've seen, or that's an idea, and I don't think Shake is on the call this morning, but one of the things that Shauna Kinsey does is, as our marketing and outreach chair, she attends other organizations' events and activities, and along the way. Example, when she introduces herself, she gives background on the NBS and the ski organizations, the clubs that she's affiliated with, and it gives people that exposure. So we could do that on a virtual basis as well. If there's an activity, and one of the activities it just occurred to me was the PSA was doing a PSIA was doing a video or a webinar, and we could join in. I sent that around to the clubs, and I believe a few of the clubs participated in that webinar series. But we could do that, and then as well get more exposure to our individual member clubs as well as to the NBS.
This is Jerry. I think we should have more virtual workshops on training, utilizing tools for our clubs, such as what we're using right now, how the individual clubs can utilize their Zoom more effectively, or just how to utilize the Reasons account on a club level. Tools like we did for Facebook, maybe Eventbrite, other tools, text messaging tools for your group when you have events, things like that. You know, marketing tools such as Constant Contact, anything that has worked well for someone else, they can teach others how to use it.
I think that's a wonderful idea, and that you need to educate each other on the best practices on how to use some of these things, right? And I think that's absolutely something that can be done.
Not can, but should.
That should be done. You're absolutely right. Anything else?
And there are, I'm sorry, Afarah, but to Jerry's point, there are a lot of, because it may not be something that we create, but there are a lot of how-to videos because we may not be the experts, but there are videos that are presented. So when you find something that you find that is valuable, to actually share that with the clubs, the other clubs, and I'll make a plug that if there's anything that you want to share with the other clubs of the NBS Western Region, you can easily do that by emailing to clubs@nbswr.org, and it will go to the club contacts, to the member club contacts. And I think that is a very valuable tool that I'd like to see us do more of.
Say that again.
Clubs@nbswr.org, NBSWR, National Brotherhood of Skiers, Western Region.org.
I think
Another thing that I wanted to share is Libby and I think Frank as well. A lot of the Winter Fox and Four Seasons folks were hosting during the pandemic. We're hosting happy hour virtual game Zooms for people and inviting people to come and play games on Friday night. Since they couldn't go out to a bar on Friday, they basically joined in at 6 or 7 o'clock each Friday. She did it on a weekly basis as long as they were dialing in. And I'd like for us to be able to have something like that as well. I've reached out to Libby to host game parties. So that was something that was fun. And then they also did that as part of the virtual Black Summit. I wasn't able to participate in the game party, but I think something like that would be an opportunity as well.
What do you guys think?
Can I say something too?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And I thought the game was fun, you know, during the virtual Black Summit, as well as their interactive brunch. It was like a cooking class. I thought that was fun too. As well as we have, you know, within our clubs and our leadership, we have experts in different fields that we can tap into, you know, to get involved and do seminars as well.
Yeah, I think those are great, guys. I think that the juices are flowing with this. What I might also suggest is maybe, Todd, even having the inventory of items that's on the website. You're on mute.
Links to recordings or something like that.
Right. Those things have been successful, so people will know exactly where to go to, you know, using that, the clubs at NBSWR.org as well. But if there's some things that people are using quite a bit, if they make it to something that's going to be repeated, it can maybe be a different tab on the website that people can go there and just view all of that.
Like resources.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
I think that's good. You guys are doing well. I hope the lawn guys move to the other part of the house, but so like some of this too could be hybrid approach, some in person and some virtual. So we don't have to flip all the way back to in person or stay in hybrid, in virtual, but we can do some things that might be a hybrid approach. For instance, if we're talking about happy hour, maybe have some happy hours or some line dancing in person, or some that might be still on virtual. So how can this tie to social media learnings? It really can, because you've gone through your social media training and you've done Facebook, and you can do the Twitter and everything else. You can post some of the videos on that. As you all know, as social media, it's all about sharing. It's all about not just you, but your friends and your friends' friends, right? And tagging others. And so if you had to announce something, then you would be able to do that on social media. I believe that Eventbrite uses a lot of those types of resources as well. And then also, go ahead.
Oh, nothing.
Okay, and then the social media entitled younger generation. I believe that's one of the reasons why we're wanting to get more into social media, is that a lot of the younger people, that's what they get their information from. If we are looking at and going back to our mission about the harmony and then survival of the clubs and so forth, we have to have strategies on how to get the younger people involved. And social media could be one of the ways in order to do that. I think I was talking to Todd yesterday about it and saying that, you know, if we have at each of the clubs, say we have a strategy that we want to improve our social media footprint, then we can go and tap a younger person, maybe a millennial or a Gen Xer, and say, can you be our social media director? In order to do that, I would like for you to do all of these things and make our footprint better on social media. That will serve a couple of things. One is get their interest into the club because they like to do things like that. And the other is to also help us to maybe even longer term and strategically get some succession planning going, right? In order for us to tap into some of the younger generations in that social media. Any thoughts about that?
Yes.
Good idea.
Yeah. Yep. Because that'll help out. Panels and workshops highlighting issues concerning people of color. You know, social justice or injustice is one of the hottest topics now. Again, this is something that younger people might be interested in hearing about and voicing their concerns. One of the encouraging things, if you guys have known for over the last year or two, or longer for a lot of us, is that over the years, younger people are now much more involved in protesting than they were, you know, 20, 30 years ago. And so they are much more involved in the social justice part of it and what's the issues concerning people of color. And that part of the reasons why the founders of the NBS came about is to make sure that we're expanding the, you know, culture of African Americans in snow skiing and snowboarding. So do they know that? Do our younger people even realize that? And so, and do they care? All right. Any thoughts about that?
You're right on time in terms of how we connect, how we communicate to all the generations, recognizing that the younger ones have a different attention span, and if it's visual to them and they see more people in their generation doing things, it's an invitation to come out and participate. So we have to be clever about how we tickle that, so it's an interest to them that will cause them to come out and take a part.
Right. It has to be something that they are interested in, you're right, and something that they're going to be passionate about.
Yes.
And I think that absolutely some of the things that we have to think about is how do we get a lot of the younger people more involved. I think some clubs have maybe done better than others, but overall, as we went through our introductions today, most of us have been around for a very long time in our roles in the club. Some of us have been recycled, as we were saying, right? We go and we come back. But we, what can we do? We have to really think outside the box of what can we do to get those younger people involved and sustain their passion, and not just have them go to one event and one and out. They have to be able to buy into it.
Yep.
So tell me about, what do you guys do right now to partner with the community youth programs? Do you guys do any of that right now?
Snowbusters has a program. Jerry, you want to speak to the what the Snowbusters does with Rosebud Academy? Is it Rosebud?
Rosebud. No,
Oh,
was that the
Alphas? The Alphas?
You know what? Yolanda knows better than I, because they put that program together. I didn't participate in last year.
Okay. Well, I do know that Rosebud, that the Snowbusters Ski Club of Pasadena had won a Learn to Ski event that they used. They cooperated with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity of Pasadena and Rosebud Academy to get the youth from Rosebud. And then if there's a program, a specific program that they've got, and then they've also collaborated with Rosebud for a past youth leadership camp that was hosted with the state of California. And that was generated through Keith Green and Zephy Bruce back several years ago. So that was one very good collaboration that one of our clubs did with an external entity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here at Camellia City, we have not had kids for a long time. The kids we have grown on and have kids of their own, and some of them are about being grandparents. I say that as a background for what it is we've been doing since then. We send money to the club or the event to help the event pay for itself. Some of the other senior clubs have done the same thing because they never had kids and they didn't want any kids, but they do send money or other resources to support the event.
Okay. Do you guys think that that's partnering with other youth organizations in the community will help in your outreach and help garner the kids and the youth that will then help in the membership clubs and promote unity and through fun and education, the mission? Do you think that's one way to go? all of your community, all of our communities have youth organizations and outreach, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, whether it's your local Boys and Girls Club, whether it's your local church youth program, you know, all we need to do is go in and say we want to take some of the kids up locally to introduce them to snow, to the, you know, snow and skiing and snowboarding. You know, or do we not want to do anything like that?
This is Jerry. With Snowbusters also, aside from what Todd talked about years ago, we used to partner with the Urban League. One of our members, her brother, was a coach in Urban League. So we partnered with them, get the kids, because we realized a long time ago that as we've gotten old, we don't have any young children. We got grandchildren.
Yeah.
So our efforts to attract the younger ones are going to be difficult. So why reinvent the world? We'll go to the groups that already have the children and expose them to something new. That's what we offer.
Right.
So they've got the demographic that we want. So let's just partner with them, and it's a win-win for both. Because we're not beating our heads up against the wall trying to figure out how we gonna get kids. You know, you ain't got no grandchildren. You know, you don't have no children. Your grandchildren are far away. All that stuff.
Right.
So we'll partner with existing groups, and that definitely worked out in our benefit. Everyone loved it.
Right, and I think that's one of the ways to help to keep the mission going and NBS mission going overall, the high level mission. Because you know, we have the one where we want to have a person of color make the Olympics, right? That's one of the things that one of the founders created. But how do we get there? I mean, that one is at the macro level. But then if you're going back to the local level, how do you know when you can dig someone up that's going to make it up there if we're not tapping into the community? So in order to do so and introducing the kids to something different, that can be some things that we're doing as well to making sure that we are helping to meet the overall mission.
One thing I just thought about, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jerry.
One thing I just thought about, what would be nice if on national level, they created a relationship with a national youth organization. The first one that comes to my mind is YMCA. They've got a YMCA in every city.
Right.
So if we had a national relationship with them, that could garner down to local, and we could maybe partner, each club could partner with a local YMCA and their youth group. And maybe we could create some kind of program where the YMCA youth maybe come on a learn to ski, a youth trip with that local club. We could do that regionally and locally.
Okay.
I was going to present another outreach that occurred and was successful. Zephy Bruce established a relationship with they weren't youth, they were young adults, but they're college age students. And we had them actually come from San Jose State University and attend a day at Urban Winterfest when we were in Lake Tahoe. So that opportunity worked out well for getting them exposed to the NBS and the fact that there were Black skiers and snowboarders, and they met a lot of our attendees there at that event.
Right.
So
And
events like that.
Right. I think that's absolutely great to do. And even the things that has been done before, and if I think it's a great idea to have a partnership at the national and regional level, because that's going to also do nothing but help your sponsors when you're talking with them. And then they're going to see that we are even more community minded. We are not just siloed in our thinking. We're expanding across the board, and we're looking at what we can do from the community up. right? So when we have our discussions with prospective sponsors and say, hey, yeah, we have a national relationship with YMCA or with the Boys and Girls Club or with Urban League, then I think those things will go a long way as we're talking about this. I'm gonna jot down some of this stuff that we said because don't want to lose sight of it. But we also talked about the exercises. I think, Charles, you were saying the exercises, the pre and post ski season.
Correct.
Okay, we talked about the virtual line dancing. The passport, medical shots. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's part of the virtual thing for people.
The how-to theory.
The how-to thing, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, and then we had, you talked about, Todd, the virtual basis about PSIA partner. Exposure, get exposure. And then we talked about the using the tools such as Zoom and other items and have some education and training on them and sharing of best practices. And then also the game parties, happy hours. We're saying some of that can be virtual, and then seminars. And so a lot of those things were some of the ideas that came up on some of this stuff that we're talking about. And so let me just ask you guys, and part of what we were going to talk about, and we're not able to do it, but I was going to have you guys do breakout rooms, but we're not. So that's why you're all staying on here with me. Is that what are some of the, so we have to keep some things in person. So what are some of the things in person we have to keep doing? Remember, we're not all the way over to a 5. We're not in the 1. We're sort of like a 3. So what are some?
Cookouts.
We have to do cookouts. Okay. And so some of those are like, go ahead.
We need to ski and race in person.
Can't do that virtual, right?
Ski, snowboard, and race in person.
Oh, thank you for the correction.
I got to do that because Keith Green would want me to.
That's right.
And Keith
what
Green
else?
is going to remind you that Nordic is in there too.
Oh, and Charles Ward would, yes, say ski, snowboard, and cross country.
Yes.
And then maybe actually have race as a separate
Yeah.
bullet.
Mhm.
Okay.
Racing.
So when you race, do you not train before? So you have to do training and racing, right?
Virtual training, yeah.
But no, in person, you have to do. Can you train in virtual training?
Together?
Exercise.
That's part of exercising.
You got two parts of the whole. You have to do both. You have to have it. Part of it can be virtual, but the important part, from a coaching point of view, is the corrective instruction for the competition for the athlete.
Right. So you can do, it can be hybrid, meaning that
Yes.
it would be both. You can have a video and you can do virtual. You can even do it on Zoom. You can do whatever you want to do, like on WebEx or whatever, if you have to do FaceTime, because that's not out the woods either. And you say, this is what I want you to do. But then if you have to do it in person too, to make sure they're doing it right and they're not hurting themselves, then that would be in person.
And see, the coach would already have some of that on video, and he
Right.
can say, see, this is what I'm talking about. You did this instead of that. That's what we want to correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we ought to do that. And what else needs to be continued in person? Nothing?
Well, hold on now. As we collect our funds to
Okay.
support whatever, that's kind of a hybrid thing too. We may well send it in virtually, and some of it will be collected on site. You understand what I'm saying? But it's another one of those,
So
hybrid things.
collecting the funds, but does it need to be in person? You
Mm-mm.
have
No.
you have all of your electronic means now. What's that? Venmo, you have Zelle, you have Cash App, you have all this other stuff.
Well, you are correct. So I started out by saying this is another one of those hybrid things, because some people would show up on site, and well, they could still do it virtually once they get on site, but nonetheless, accepting cash on site or whatever it is.
You guys see where a lot of this stuff now is really changing? I mean, even with that, even so, we didn't talk a lot about fundraising. Can that always has to be in person, or can that be virtual?
Well, definitely virtual.
And so having some type of fundraising ideas, right? I think there was some at the Black Ski Summit, Todd, where there fundraising that was done in virtual.
Yes, the popcorn sales and the
Wine.
the wine, as
tasting.
well as the online auction, which was amazingly successful. Thank you, Terry Allard.
Online auction.
Yeah, that was fun. It was different for me.
Well, see,
But
that's
fun.
the thing, is that a lot of this stuff can be fun if we, we think about it and we do it. So how did this popcorn work? I mean, I like my popcorn in person.
Me too.
How did you do popcorn?
The popcorn was ordered. You ordered the popcorn online, and then you received it in your mailbox, and then you ate the popcorn while you were watching the movie, which was that was the idea. Execution may not have been such so well done, but the idea was to order the popcorn in advance so you get it in time for the movie night, and then they streamed the movie, and you were supposed to watch the movie while you're eating your popcorn.
Okay.
Many people ate popcorn weeks after the movie.
Popcorn wasn't delivered on time. Maybe. No.
Well, it was a little difficult to deliver popcorn when people were ordering it still, and the movie was going to be showing tomorrow, But
Yeah.
But the idea was interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And anything else, you guys, that that will need to stay in person? What about, and this is something that a lot of you guys are on and you have an invested interest in. What about your president's meetings?
Some of the
That'd be a lot.
dynamics of meetings, especially when they are semi-closed, are best handled in person, even though they can be done virtually, but that means that you have to add another cyber feature to it to ensure confidentiality.
Yeah, I think they could probably be done. I think it'd be done a hybrid. So say, for instance, we have a meeting coming up in the fall in Vegas. So I guess the idea is that, the thought is that we want to do it in person, but we kind of have to see what's, what the environment is going to be like before, those final arrangements are made. So I think that it could be hybrid. I think that if there's the means and it's okay to meet in person, you can do that, but otherwise, we could continue to do those virtually.
And so how many president's meetings are there annually? How many you have in a year? They're quarterly?
4.
They're quarterly.
So,
Mhm.
and then are there some, as Charles was saying, that maybe there's some that that have more sensitive information that's discussed, that maybe at those, if I don't know if the bylaws say that it has to be at least one annual meeting. The annual meeting per se might be the one that's in person and the others can be done virtually. I think there is benefits to having some in person because you want to continue that camaraderie and the relationship building and knowing people. That's one of the things that most people will say that was missed during the COVID and completely being shut down, is to continuing that harmony.
Mhm.
So I think if you thought about it, a hybrid approach, meaning that some are done virtual and then you select which ones you do believe that people need to go and attend in person. Any thoughts about that?
This is Jerry. I do believe that we can do most of our meetings virtually
Mm-hmm.
with an annual, because I find the virtual meetings, I find to be more efficient
Mm-hmm.
and without a doubt, less costly, because I believe a large portion of the region's budget goes toward expenses for these meetings.
Right.
That's a big chunk. We could have quarterly meetings, but an annual meeting at Winterfest. And this will, and by this way, with our virtual meetings, even our annual meeting where everyone meets, have that hybrid.
Right.
That way we can also minimize the number of proxies, because even if I can't attend the event, I can still log on and be present at
Mhm.
home or wherever.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, good. Any other meetings that, we can have we can continue to have the OIS education sessions virtual, you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any other, we can also have some of the training that we talked about up here already about the resources shared, also the for instance, the social media training. So it's
Can
hard
you
to type and talk at the same time.
can you scroll the
The
paper up?
best practices.
Yeah. So what did you say? Scroll up?
Yep.
It's easier said than done. Okay.
I would,
Can you see anything?
Yeah. Yes. It's the last 2 bullets. I couldn't see.
Okay. Can you see them now?
No.
Oh, I'm moving everything up.
Can you scroll up on your phone? Are you on your phone, Charles?
No. iPad.
Can you see now?
I
Yes.
see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah,
So
we
you may
can
want
see
to
it.
scroll on your device, Charles.
I made it smaller, maybe. So can you see now?
Yes.
Okay.
I would
So-
propose that we have a quarterly training of something, whether it be social media, best practices or something, some educational component to help everybody. And do that quarterly, and maybe a different person be assigned to, just show each thing, but something to help us with our skill set.
Yeah. Okay. Like the virtual platforms.
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
you're, so if you all, because at the regional level, I think we're okay with having the sessions like we are today using Zoom or whatever. But if you guys are going back to your individual clubs and you want to have a club interaction or a club meeting or some type of education session, what do you do, right? That's the thing that you're going to be asking. So how do I do that? Who's going to help me do that? And do I have the access? Do you have access to do it?
I think we could do it through the region's Zoom platform.
Which is going to take some coordination and make sure that you're not stepping on each other, right?
Yeah, different logins are different levels of access.
Yeah. Okay. The thing that I think someone mentioned over here about the, I think Charles, you mentioned about something, maybe some sensitive information. You can do virtual meetings and only have the people attend that you want to attend. There's Zoom has set up a lot of security around that.
Mhm.
So you don't need to be afraid of having somebody drop in that you don't want to drop in. You don't have to have them allow them to come in. You have them in a waiting room. You're going, who is that person? You just don't let them in. So there's just let you know there's ways to be secure.
Mhm. And that goes back to training.
Yeah. And I would also commit if there's anyone that, I've gotten pretty good at Zoom. If there's anyone of you guys want to have a Zoom training, just let me know and I can help with that too.
I think that would be excellent. But one thing I would propose is that you figure out how the clubs can utilize the region's Zoom
Yeah.
for their events.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I think that's easier to do. But I'll talk to Todd about it and we'll figure that out and then see how to get you access to it. So just let you know that Zoom offers a free account, but the free account, you can only have a meeting for 45 minutes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if you feel that you can do something that you want a short meeting, then you can set up an account for Zoom, and it's not a paid account, but it's a Zoom account that you can do. You would have that for 45 minutes. If you or your club or anyone wanted to have a paid account, then it's only $14.99 a month. And I have an account. I've had it about 3 or 4 years, and it's worth it. If your club is able to have a budget for $14 a month, $15 a month, you can have your own account. And I would imagine, I'll talk to Todd about the regional account. I would imagine it's a paid account because we've been on more than 45 minutes.
Yeah,
So
I had
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no, I was saying, like, I proposed several months ago that the region go ahead and we decided to get a paid account so that the region, we were using somebody else's, let the region have their own and let the clubs have access to it. So, so we're not limited to that 40 minutes and we're not limited to
That's interesting.
the size of the meeting.
Yeah.
So we have the resources, but we're not we're not utilizing it as much as we could. We have it in place. It's already there for everybody.
Yeah. The other one that is free,
Google Meeting.
it's Google Meets.
Mhm.
And that one is free and unlimited. And it's the platform is similar to Zoom. My Apple technology does not like Google Meets because Apple and Google don't jive.
Mhm.
But that's the one that the schools, the grade schools usually use, that Google gave them free.
Oh,
So it's the platform is similar. I like Zoom better. A lot of people like Zoom better, but it is something that's free out there. Microsoft have their own. So Zoom is not all of it, but it is. I think from me personally, I think it's the better one. It's more user friendly. But anyway, it's something that the clubs, if you all wanted to look into, or maybe even a regional level look into. But if you wanted to look into Google Meets, I suggest you even might want to look into that.
and I believe Microsoft just
Teams,
started offering Teams
right,
to the general public for free.
Mhm.
right, because theirs usually was at the corporate level, and a lot of the corporations use Microsoft Teams for their meetings and things, especially when people went virtual. But if they are offering at the individual level, I think that's great, but they also are trying to catch up with Zoom. Zoom took over the market. And so you have all these others that's doing so. WebEx is another one that's out there, has been around for many years. A lot of corporations have used WebEx. It's not user-friendly at all, not like Zoom and the others. But just saying all of that to say that Zoom is not all of it, but you can look into different ones. But as I said, Todd and I maybe talk about maybe sharing the regional account. So any other things that in person versus virtual? I think these are good starts.
Awards and decorations and such as that.
Okay, what about them? Do you think those will have to be in person, or you think you can do that virtually?
Well, if we look at Hollywood, most of that can be in person. But if for some reason a person can't be there,
Yeah,
they're on a trip,
Yeah.
whatever, and we know that they're going to get it, and we send it to them, they have it already, they can do their thank you virtually.
Yeah, what, with a video or something, right?
Yes.
I really think that, because I believe in reading it from the Black Summit, some of those were done virtually during that point. Some clubs were inducted, and some things that were happening with it, it depends on what your goal is, but again, you have to see, maybe that's a hybrid.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but if you want to present
This
them.
is I'm sorry, this is Terry.
Go ahead.
So we did actually, because of Summit, the issues that we had some awards that we wanted to distribute at Summit, but we weren't able to do it. But like in the next president's meeting, we mailed the awards so that the recipients had them on the next meeting, and they were showing them. So I thought that was kind of neat too.
Yeah.
If we have to do it that way, we can.
That's absolutely right. And those are ways that we can do that as long as we're thinking outside the box, right? That is, it's like you did the popcorn thing, but just like the wine tasting, and just like if you want to do awards, you mail it to them, have them take a picture of it, they text it to you, and you put it on your presentation when you're doing Zoom. So those are lots of different ways to do that. Maybe even they want to do, they can do a video or something. So those are different things to do. Any other questions about any of this? Okay, so that's good. And let's see we go here. We can close out. I want to just make sure that if we're doing this, then I'm keeping track of these items we're talking about. So what will you do to make your club awesomer virtually, right? Maybe marketing and communication. I think that we were mentioning Shauna does a really good job in marketing communication. The leadership meetings, we talked about how we can do those hybrid or do more of that. The youth outreach, we've talked about how we partnership, maybe even at the higher level, at the NBS level, and saying we have a partnership with the YMCA because they're in every city. The Urban League is another great one. Trip management, right? So how can we do trip management? Is that something that can be managed virtually, or we have to be in person with that? I think some of that is done virtually now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the 4-year fund, we talked about how the hiking, some people are hiking today, and some people are looking at expanding interest by doing things outside of skiing or snow or cross country or snowboarding or skiing.
Winter sports.
What's that?
Winter sports.
Winter sports, right, right. Membership. How's membership going, guys? We talked a little bit about how we can expand it to younger people, but I think if by using social media, it might be a way to leverage membership or get membership interest.
One thing that actually triggered my mind today, looking at folks on the screen, was that fortunately at this point we still look young, so we wouldn't really turn off a lot of the younger adults because they'd say, oh, okay, as long as we continue to think young and behave young, adventurous and active, etc., we can still attract them visually with who we are.
Yeah.
But we need to do that soon. And really to, again, I personally believe that we don't need to focus on trying to get 20-year-olds to come out. But I feel like if the 50-year-olds will bring out 40-year-olds and the 40-year-olds will bring out 30-year-olds and the 30-year-olds will bring out the 20-somethings, that we can, and that's what really happened in our past is, for the most part, the founders were in their 30s, 30s or 40s, and then of the different clubs. And then they attracted people because they were fun.
Right.
And as long as we're still fun, we can attract people that are looking for fun. And I believe that there's enough families and social circles where fun people are part of those groups, but the group isn't fun, that we're still relevant. As long as we as clubs are more fun than people's friends and their families.
Right.
If we become less fun than somebody's friends or families, then they don't need that club.
Right.
But they need clubs that are more fun than anybody else they know, so that they can go somewhere and fit in. So from a membership standpoint, I think if we virtually as well as in person reflect that we're more fun than the people you know, that we will attract those people that are fun and that are seeking fun.
Okay, so how do you do that? How do you let people, what mechanism are you gonna show that you are fun?
Well, I think we could harness social media. Videos, pictures, stuff like that. Because I was going to suggest what you do is utilize social media to find other groups, especially groups of color that are doing things outside the box. Such as, like, just the other day, I was reading an article about a sister up in Canmore, out by Banff. She's got a group. What is it? She wants to darken the colors of the mountains or something like that. She's trying to find Black folks to get out, hike, camp, and then ski. Her emphasis started in camping and hiking, but that crossed over into skiing and snowboarding. So if we find other groups that are doing things that, like bicycle riding, camping, I don't know, hang gliding, things like that, that's the kind of adventurous people that are interested in skiing.
Hot air balloon rides.
Those kind of groups.
Yeah, hot air balloon rides.
Yeah, get
Parasailing.
Yeah, people that are already doing fun stuff.
Yeah.
And let them partner with them and let them see how much fun we are doing things outside the norm, outside of just playing basketball, sitting at home watching a football game.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what I wanted to hear. That's why I asked the question, how do we let them know we are fun? We know we're having fun and we're doing things, because I know that we still have the annual beach day, right? Dock Rowley Beach, people still go down there. And yeah, and so we do that, and the Costa Rica's coming up and all of those things that are fun. But if we have them all on social media, and if we have them all on our awesome website, we don't have to do much more. We just need to share the link. right? You share the link on social media, you share the link on even your email distribution list, you share the link on whatever you're doing to share things that you're doing and having fun. And I think that's where it goes, the full year fun also, right? You're going more than or beyond the winter sports. You're doing that, but you're doing beyond the winter sports. And you're showing that and people really want to come and get involved. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this because this has been a topic for many, many years, is that if we're going beyond winter sports, are we stepping outside of our NBS mission?
No,
No,
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
we are a all-season,
Sport.
yes.
Okay. I just want to ask, because that's always been a topic of discussion for the last 30, 35 years. Is that, okay, we're doing this. Are we now then, or, a travel group or activities group and not really a ski group?
No, that's
Now,
just
I
like
think where you might be going is when you have a snow sports club that doesn't go out on the snow.
Right.
Mhm.
that you then start questioning, well, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. I'm going to try to wrap up in a few minutes because I want to put some legs behind some of this. We already talked about community and partnerships and like public relations. Are we got some things going around public relations? Do our local government or our local people know about us? Are we part of any chamber meetings or chamber discussions? When they list the things that happen in a city, are they also listing things that we're doing and that we're a nonprofit in their organization, in their city?
No,
nah.
it's almost club to club.
Mm.
I know that here in Sacramento, that is a challenge for us. We were supporting some fundraisers for various public safety things for a period of time, but those organizations are not as strong as they are or used to be.
Mhm.
But basically, not for us.
Okay. Yeah, and I think someone else was going to say something.
I think many of us are not
Yeah.
doing that. However,
Mhm.
we could. And I think that's an excellent topic for a workshop. Put together some templates on what we could be doing, how we create a press release, things like that. What are things we can do to get our name out there in the general
Right.
public? What the heck is public relations? Many people don't know.
And see, that
Yeah.
dovetail into the other aspect of that, and that has to do with branding. You know, as a region, we have a brand, but how much is that out there? Individual clubs, depending on locale, has a pretty strong brand, but
Right.
not all clubs.
Right. Because I know that even in an Inland Empire Ski and Sport Club, and the longest they've been around, even now, if Cleo and I are walking around and we're going, oh yeah, we were part of the Black Ski Club. People go, oh, there's a Black Ski Club.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah,
Still
still.
do it. They still do that.
wherever we go.
Yeah.
Some years ago when we were doing some much bigger fundraisers, we actually put together a public relations packet where we would have a press release. We'd have a whole list of newspapers, radio stations, other organizations that our flyer or information about whatever that activity was, we would send it out to. The press release did really well for a very long period of time because, like I say, we would send them out to newspapers, we sent them out to radio stations because they had a community The newspapers had a community calendar. It was free, so you send it to them, they put it on there. There were certain there were certain TV stations actually that had, you know, these morning programs, and if you went on the morning program, they would give you a spot.
Yeah.
During their show, and we did that to market some of our activities. One of the things that happened though is that with the press release in particular, is that after a while the radio stations changed their criteria, newspapers changed their criteria in terms of what types of community activities
Right.
They would actually promote.
Right.
So at that point, a lot of that just went away.
Right. Right.
So it's but while it was going on, I mean, it was, you know, the club name was out there, a lot of people knew about it. But once those avenues kind of went away and we weren't able to get those activities out there in that same manner, it just got more difficult to be able to do that. So they are, you know, so people just didn't, you know, it was like, now it's kind of like you say, right now, when we talk to people and even some years before now, people would say, oh, is Camilla City still around? Oh, is Ebony still around? You know, because we just didn't have, because we were not able to get our names out there in the same way.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're absolutely right that a lot of these press releases or these media outlets, they put a lot of rigor around who they are going to let advertise or not. And that's when we have to be strategic and say that we are promoting youth. We have to throw youth in there all the time.
Yeah.
They will do that if you're doing something around youth, but if they know that we're just going to meet up and do something, that's totally different. So it's absolutely right. And it would be great though to be able to be listed on a chamber's list. So if anybody new came to town, you see the ski club listed as part of the organizations in that town. So anyway, so yeah, that's something that I think that we're saying that we want to be able to maybe have like a education workshop on, right? Okay. What it is, what we can do, type thing. Okay. Okay, let's see what we can do going forward here, because I want to start wrapping up. Okay, we had all of this: discover new ideas, any additional ideas, leverage social media, use videotapes. We talked about that. But building relationships, building relationships is something that we have to continue to do, because we want to make sure it's part of the mission that says unity and harmony. And so a lot of this had to do with, if you're talking to people that are maybe interested, how do you make sure that you're getting them and keeping them interested and going forward with it. So let's talk about action plans. What's next moving forward? We've talked, guys, today about a lot of good things. So what are we committed to do and by when? So if we're saying, if I went back to maybe this list that we have here that says that, for instance, we want to have more O.I.S. education sessions quarterly. Are we committed to doing that? Are we committed to the president's meetings being hybrid? Or any of those things, right? So what are we committed to, and when do we think we would do it by? Anybody committed to anything?
I think we're all committed to doing virtual meetings as often as we can do it. And that can be done with Todd saying, this is the date we're going to do a virtual, as opposed to everybody showing up. But that's a board call on getting that done, and the rest of us would just fall in line with that.
So we're going to say this is going to be discussed at maybe at the next board meeting?
Perhaps.
Just a thought. Okay.
Yeah, we'll actually discuss it at the next board meeting, but it'll actually definitely be discussed at the next president's meeting to see from the president's standpoint, which of our meetings are they comfortable with, even after there is no concerns with pandemic, but which of the meetings, what type of meeting format would be best in person and or virtual. I have concerns about hybrid meetings where people are in person and then others are virtual. If any of you have been on a phone call, on a teleconference call where there are people in the room and you're the one on the call, you'll know that it's very difficult for you to participate and for you to hear what's going on. So I like if no one is in the room, in the same room, then it usually works out well. But if people are in the room, it's been my experience that if other folks are dialed in, that the people that are dialed in really feel like second-class citizens.
We have to establish the protocols to keep that from happening.
Well, Todd, I think that only people that should be on the call virtually, if we're having an in-person meeting, say for instance, if it's at Winterfest, should only be those that could not attend the trip.
Mhm.
And there's no reason for you not to be there in person unless you could not attend the trip. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry if you feel like a second-class citizen, but you should have come on the trip.
Yeah, so once you decide which of the meetings will be virtual and which one are required to be in person, then the optimal word is required to be in person, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's when that will happen there. One of the other items I have listed here is virtual platform account sharing and training, like Zoom training. When do we want to do that by?
I say set a calendar at once a quarter. Just set consistent, like, I don't know, the middle month of each quarter, we're gonna have a training. And you just set up the calendar and then you decide on who's gonna present at each one.
So training
Who and
quarterly.
what.
But in order, for instance, we talked about having the regional account shared or having your own individual accounts. So you have to start thinking about that too, or is that putting the cart before the horse?
That should be the first one.
Okay.
That should be our first training.
Okay. Is identifying the best platform. Okay.
I'm going to be calling you long before that.
Okay, that's fine. That is fine. We also talked about resource sharing, the clubs at NBSWR.org. We want to start doing that and also posting those things we're doing to the website. We want to start doing that by when? And then is this something that Shauna's going to need to get involved with, Todd, or do we need to get her involved?
It is not. The presidents have the ability to immediately, to have the ability to forward any resources that they found valuable to that email address, and that is we'd like to do more resource sharing through the clubs.
Okay.
Over and above that, Todd, could we possibly have a shared drive just for presidents? So like, if we share something and it goes out email, okay, that's it. But can we if there could be like a shared drive where we go back and get those resources. I remember something came back, a month ago. I don't know where it is in my email. Maybe I can go to the shared drive and download it and, share it with the president or share it with my club rep or my board.
So would it be a shared drive, or was posting these things to the website be the same, or is it posted to the website is exposed to too many people? So would a shared drive be better, or then maybe posting things to the website?
I think a shared drive, because that way, say for instance, this meeting or when we had the training on Facebook, I can go back to it later. If I miss that meeting, I
Okay.
can pull it from the shared drive and I can review what I missed. Or
Okay.
even if I attended a training and there was something I want to do, but I can't remember exactly how, I can go back to that resource, pull it down and review it again.
Okay. Okay, good. So when do we want to do that by? Do you all agree then a shared drive be okay? First of all.
You got to create securities and all that, permissions.
Yeah, but that's easy enough to do, then you just give people permission.
Yeah.
I like the idea for all the reasons that my partner talked about.
Okay. So, okay, good. So we want to do that within the next quarter?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to, I like the idea. I would like for the presidents to, because we can have all types of things. Like I've got access to a lot of different shared drives and resources and whatever. But I want to make sure that whatever we put together, it's going to be something that the presidents are going to use, and that it's something that it's not just, oh yeah, that sounds like something good, but it would be really something that they will be using. So I'd like to include this, Ida. If we can include these activities on the president's meeting, again, sure, we can go unilaterally and do all types of things, but I want to make sure that the clubs want this and that it's going to be valuable to the clubs.
Okay.
I think the value comes through training. Then it's not going to be valuable if it's just there and they don't know how to utilize it. They have to be trained.
And then too, we are sure that Todd will make sure that there's an appropriate number of meetings for people to use it.
Yes, sir.
It could be even shared drive. We'll go back and find the minutes from the past meetings. If we got a meeting coming up and we got to vote on accepting the minutes from the past one, at least I can go, somebody will send it out, but I can go to the shared drive and view the minutes.
Okay. Okay, good. So it'll be discussed at the next president's meeting. But in the meantime, and then as you're going through, Todd, as you're saying, you have access or knowledge of a various shared drives. So when the meeting comes, and be able to talk about which one's the best way to do it, and who will have access, and the types of things that will be posted. Now, all of those things will need to be discussed, right?
Yeah, we would. It would be great to have someone that would be able to own each of these items. I think the first item, I can own the first item, the virtual meetings, and then owning the training for being able to deliver training. I wouldn't tell anybody yet, but I figure Afarah will fill in the names that she thinks, okay, good.
Okay.
And then basically being able to forward resources, all the presidents have the ability to do that. Presidents and the board, anyone has the ability to, and then it'd be great to have someone that was familiar with or could be familiar with shared drives, whether it's a Google Drive or whatever, to really look at use cases and make a recommendation to the board, and then we can make that recommendation to the presidents and say, we'd like to propose that we have this. What are your thoughts as far as using it?
So who do we think that might be?
Put me down.
Who's that?
Jerry.
Jerry, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll keep talking
Say
about
it,
it.
say it like you mean it. Say it like you mean it.
That's right. Put me down.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for standing in the gap. I appreciate that.
Jerry. What about this one I have down here? I think it's important. It's about youth community partnerships. Do we just want to explore that more then? Or remember we talked about maybe this can be something at the local and at the national level?
Well, I heard the recommendation for the national level. I think, because I tried to propose this, not at the national level, but because we can really control things at our local level. I asked the presidents of the Western region to reach out to in their local community and find an organization that fits well with your club. And I think at that point, that was when Snowbusters, this was a few years ago, that was when Snowbusters reached out to Rosebud and the Alphas, the fraternity, and established that relationship. But I thought that the Urban League Young Professionals organization in each of the different cities would be great for the clubs to work with. And it doesn't really require a memorandum of understanding or a letter of intent and all of that. But it really could just be to reach out to that organization and to say, hey, we'd like to offer, to see what makes sense for that local organization and the local club to connect and collaborate with. I like the idea of doing something on a national basis, but that takes, as you all can imagine, that takes pretty much a term of one national president to really get all that worked out. And this national president is working on a lot of partnering. We can present that at the national level, but I see that having some really long runway. But I'd like for us to take advantage of something on a shorter time frame.
I think that's good. I think it's good to be able to, because each city and geographically and demographically are different, and so it's not a one size fit all. So I think it might be good to do it have discussions then at the president's level. We talked about,
and some clubs really aren't doing from a youth perspective, because those are two different things. But from a youth perspective, there are some clubs that don't have I don't want to say the desire, but it's not part of their club's mission to have youth programs.
But then the community partnerships might be, if it's not just youth, I think community partnerships are important because I believe it also will feed into that public relations piece, right?
Certainly.
That gives
and membership.
Right, and membership, because it gives it optics, right? Look what we're doing in the community. We're partnering with various community groups, but also, as we talked before, if you're looking at doing a press release, I think it's good to be able to talk up some of the things that you're doing in the community.
Yes.
So with that, the public relations training about what it is and what we can do as clubs, we want to be able to do that. I heard that we probably need some training around that. Any training opportunities?
And I believe LaWanda Joseph, who is the NBSWR maven,
So is
would,
it, did I spell her name right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, you got it right. I
Okay.
believe she'd be excited about delivering some best practices from a public relations perspective.
Okay, sounds good. And so, and that can happen, guys, at some of the upcoming presidents meetings, even if it's virtual, right? We don't have to wait for some of the stuff to happen in person. We know that we can do this now virtually. We know that that's all of this is about, that we can rise to the next level even after the pandemic and even after the things that we didn't think we could do before, but we can continue to grow and expand. Is there anything that I missed on here that we want to just make sure we don't lose sight of? Okay. If not, then we have 2 minutes left. Are there any questions or concerned about anything that we talked about today?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or did you write in there?
Games.
Who did that?
Games. I would like to add virtual games.
Okay.
And
I don't know.
what did I miss?
I don't know who did that. It's that annotation stuff. It usually from, let me see here, annotation, and it say erase. I don't know. I didn't do it. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay.
So that's part of your training.
Oh, I did have a question. As we're talking about virtual as opposed to in-person meetings, if Todd or Brenda could talk about like what's the average cost that we spend on a meeting when we have an in-person meeting, for the board to travel, reimbursements to the presidents, all that stuff. About what does it average meeting cost the region?
Anybody?
It is significant. I want to say it's about 2,500.
That for the region?
Yeah, for the board and the presidents that attend.
Is
Yeah,
Todd
is
still
re-
on? Or Terry?
Terry's on, Todd's on too.
Yeah. Because
Oh, you're asking for an answer right now.
yeah,
I thought you were asking to get that from Brenda. I thought you were asking to get that from
no,
Brenda.
I was wondering, like, just a ballpark.
Oh, it's probably, I think Charles is probably not far off, because if you look at our budget, it's all in our budget and our actual, but just looking at over an annual for two meetings, that we really have 3 meetings. We're supposed to have 4 because we're supposed to have one at Summer Carnival, but we don't have one at we don't have Summer Carnival, so we don't have one. But we did have an extra meeting that was a special meeting because of COVID-19. So we ended up we are having 4, but typically we have 2 meetings that are I'll call it off-site, and then the presidents, half of the presidents typically are budgeted for $80 reimbursements, except for those presidents that are there locally. So then let's say that's 6 times 80, but all of the presidents don't request that reimbursement. But let's say that it's 500 there. And then for the 4 elected officers, they get expenses reimbursed, but we end up cohabitating. So It tends to be maybe about $700-800 a meeting. So then, to that extent, so if you got 700-800 and 500 for president's reimbursement, and then so that's two times 7, 14, or 8, 16, and 5. Yeah, so that's about $2,300 a year, just as a ballpark.
Oh, I thought it was costing close to $3,000 a meeting.
Yeah, we have been accustomed to bunking and trying to eliminate cost and minimize costs. So we don't. Everybody doesn't get their own room, and sometimes we've bunked at Sharon Sargent's. We all crashed at Sharon's because we were drinking anyway, and wasn't no need in going back to the hotel and all that. So we manage our costs very effectively. Yeah.
Okay.
But on to the virtual games, I did want to, because there, I didn't want to just say Todd is going to do virtual games, but we have Libby Thompson, right?
Yeah,
Libby Williams Thompson. Yeah,
Thompson,
not Libby
Williams, whatever. Yeah.
Is it L-I-B-B?
Yeah, Libby. Winter Fox Libby.
Her name is Elizabeth, so it's Libby
on the label.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll look to see if she did commit to. She said she would do it. We just needed to get a time frame, and she wanted to know what type of games. So that's an opportunity for the future.
Okay.
So you can take Todd off of there, even though I'll be reaching out to her.
Okay, will do. Anything else, guys? Nothing else? Okay, so I think this was good. I hope you guys thought it was valuable as well. And so are there any questions or concerns about anything? Any last minute thoughts?
Will you be sharing this with us, the handouts?
Yes, I'll go ahead and share, especially with the notes that I've taken along the way.
Okay.
Especially with the action items and who's assigned to what.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And to that point, Afarah, if you'll share it to the club's email address, clubs@nbswr.org, as well as to board at nbswr.org. And then that way, the people that missed it, they'll know what they missed.
Okay. Okay.
And I did also want to point out, thank you, Art. I see that Art Johnson dialed in. Art is, are you out hiking right now? Are you at Griffith Park?
He must be.
Well, I don't know if you saw Todd. Shay-Kate did log on for a moment, and she was hiking.
Oh, okay.
She was moving.
You see, Snow Buses has got some dedicated folks there.
Yeah. Some fun stuff.
Very good.
Okay, anything else, guys? Very good. I'm glad that you guys were able to join this Saturday morning. And now you can go out and enjoy yourselves and hike and do meetups and everything.
Before we go, what's next? When's the next meeting?
Oh, well, before we do that, I want to say that I just saw that Terry, are you okay? Everything's okay?
I think so. I think we're going to be all right. Thank you.
Did you want everyone to know where you are?
No.
Okay, I won't say anything then.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead with the next meeting. That was what.
So when is the next meeting? That's the question.
Did we want to do the next training for the Zoom? Do we want to do a Zoom training for the next training?
We
That'd be
can.
great.
I know that, I think it was Charles that said he was gonna reach out to me immediately. And so, anyway, when you guys want to try to get something scheduled now, let's look at the calendars. Is there another meeting that's happening already, or that we can join in, or do you guys want to look at the end of June or sometime in July or August?
Let's give us a month. Let's do monthly.
Well, this is the first Saturday. Is that a good time for everybody?
Except for the first
No,
Saturday.
that would be
Okay.
4th of July.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We can do July 10th. I can do July 10th.
Yeah, July 10th sounds good.
Any hiking events that day?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, no, we're the first Saturday of each month.
Okay. So that we're agreeing to July 10th, 9 a.m. is good.
Yes, okay.
Okay, got it.
If this is a Zoom training, maybe we need to promote this with other people that need Zoom training that are not on this.
Could it
We
be
need-
open to our boards?
Well, I mean, share it with the
Boards?
presidents, or I don't know if there are other members that might want Zoom training.
How about the presidents and the boards of each club?
So it's a good idea.
Yep.
Well, so and I'll take a little time, just a quick second to as a commercial. It is our expectation that O.I.S. training sessions are being shared with your club boards so that they can participate as well, and we can make sure that it gives you the chance to have your board be familiar with the lessons that you're learning. So we expect that the presidents are sharing this with their board as well as other potential leaders, up and coming leaders at the club level.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh. I do have a question, mainly for Todd, in reference to shared resources. Do you know if the national will share the image for the summit, that graphic? Because I would like to put that on our promotions, but we need to get an original from whoever created that, if they could share that with the clubs so that we're all putting out the same images as we could promote the event. That would be nice.
They will, but we have to be careful because there are some things that they may be using that are for certain uses. So we want to make sure that I will reach out to LaWanda and to the team to see what can be shared and for what purposes. Because some things that I might think would be good for use in some cases, I've been informed that to not use that for that purpose.
Okay, because we got to start selling our lodging. We're already promoting the event. It would be nice for a branding perspective that everyone is putting out the same images, the same look and feel for that event.
Well, I know what you're saying on that. Good luck. but I'll at least be able to get you a package of graphics at some point for promotional purposes.
Okay.
One of the
Oh,
things
matter of
we
fact-
mentioned was PR. We should have a PR package for Summit.
Correct. Mhm. Oh, Todd, I don't know if you want to address like the issue in promoting that arose this past week with my club and the Fun Fest.